Okay, we're going to continue on in our Father's Word. This is Mark 13, verse 32. But that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Only God knows the date and the time. But it'll be whenever He gets through testing all the souls that He created in the first earth age. So, this fig tree generation started when Israel became a nation, the final generation of flesh man. The British gave Israel back to the Jews after the Holocaust. Now remember, during that Holocaust, Hitler killed 11 million. He killed 6 million Jews, but he killed 5 million gay people and black people. And he did an ethnic cleansing of Europe. And he killed a bunch. There was a bunch of Jews killed in Warsaw, Poland. See, the Polish people there was the 10 northern tribes were taken. Jeroboam built a golden calf to worship Satan in Bethel and in Dan. And God sent the Ninevites to destroy and to take the 10 northern tribes. Rehoboam, Solomon's son, took over Jerusalem, Benjamin, and the Levites. But Jeroboam came out of Egypt. He was hiding over in Egypt from Solomon. And when Solomon died, he came over and took over the 10 northern tribes. And the 10 northern tribes over a 200-year period were taken by the Assyrians, the Ninevites, Mosul, Iraq, northern Iraq of today. Ben-Hadad was the first, and Sennacherib was the last of the great Assyrian leaders. And God sent the death angel and killed 185,000 of Sennacherib's troops. He had Jerusalem surrounded, and he was like a bird in a cage. The king was like a bird in a cage there in Jerusalem. And Sennacherib had him surrounded, and he asked for deliverance. And God sent the death angel, and Sennacherib went home with no army. And his own family killed him because he lost the whole army. 185,000 men in one night. But the 10 northern tribes and a lot of Judea. Sennacherib took a lot of Judea, I think over 200,000 that he took out of Judea. But he had Jerusalem surrounded. And so, after that, the Babylonians defeated because the Assyrians didn't have an army anymore. God's death angel wiped them all out. So God sent Jonah to preach salvation to the Ninevites. And Jonah preached salvation to the Ninevites, and the Ninevites accepted salvation. See, they worshiped the fish god, Dagon, and they took God's little children they took him through the little children into Dagon's altar fires. And then they had sex orgies in the groves, and that's how they worshiped Dagon. Sounds a lot like dragon, doesn't it? The fish god, half man, half fish. So Jonah was swallowed by the fish 3 days in the belly of the great fish, and then the fish came up to the shore and spit Jonah out so that the Ninevites could see it. So that made it real easy for Jonah. They thought he was special. After he'd been in a fish and got spit out, and they saw it. So it made it real easy for Jonah to preach salvation. And the Ninevites accepted salvation, and then they went and took the 10 northern tribes. Ephraim went to Great Britain mostly. Reuben, the tribe of Reuben, the oldest of Jacob's son, the eldest, they went to France. The French Jews are from the tribe of Reuben mostly. And here in the United States, Manasseh, Joseph's other son, Ephraim and Manasseh were Joseph's sons from Europe, or from Egypt. And so that's where those 3 tribes went to. And the rest of the 7 tribes, they were scattered all over Europe. And Poland opened their arms to the Jews. So there was a lot of the other 7 tribes, mostly ended up in the Ukraine and Poland. And so that's the story on where the Jews ended up. So George Washington, a master builder, the people that built Solomon's temple, the master builders, they're the ones, George Washington, Ben Franklin, Paul Revere, they were all master builders. And that's what the Jews did. They were the block and the stonemasons and the iron workers that built all those great stone buildings. They were like the union workers of today. They had knowledge of how to build. And they built 2 cities for Egypt during the 400 years that they were in slavery over in Egypt. They built 2 of those mud brick cities for the Egyptians. And they built Solomon's temple and Solomon's house, and they did a lot of building around Jerusalem. So they're the master builders, the stonemasons, the ones that know how to lay block and do the iron work in order to lay the block. So let's continue on. Watchers, watch. This is verse 35. Therefore you do not know when the master of the house is coming, in the evening, at midnight, at the crowing of the rooster, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say to you, I say to all, watch. Now, I want to read Acts 2, verse 6 to you. The Holy Spirit. Now this is Acts chapter 2. When the day of Pentecost, Penta means 50 and Kos means day in the Greek. 50th day after the Passover is Pentecost. 50 days after Easter is nothing. Easter is determined by the full moon. Look it up on the internet. It's pagan. A pagan sex goddess. Easter. Ishtar. Phoenician. She was a sex goddess for the Assyrians also. They've got statues up in Mosul, Iraq of Ishtar. So, and Ashtaroth is another name for Easter. And Solomon worshipped her and built a shrine for her on the side of the Mount of the Olives. I can't believe Solomon did that. But he did it for his foreign wives that worship little g gods. And it made God very angry. But he didn't, well, Solomon in Ecclesiastes, the last book, Solomon wrote Song of Solomon when he was a teenager. He wrote Proverbs at middle age. And he wrote Ecclesiastes at the last of his life. And if you read Ecclesiastes, he keeps saying, it was all vanity. It was all vanity what did him in. He was just too vain. And as smart as he was, he sure messed up. Okay, this is Acts chapter 2. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven, as a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. Then they departed to them divided tongues, as of fire, and one sat upon each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance. And there was dwelling in Jerusalem Jews, devout men from every nation under heaven. And when this sound occurred, the multitude came together and were confused, because everyone heard them speak in their own language. And then they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, Look, are not all these who speak Galileans? And how is it that we hear, each in our own language,